Devar,
Yes, Madhog.
we're drowning in lesbians.
It's raining lesbians.
I mean, it's not enough that we been reading this one lesbian pony vampire fanfic for the past few weeks. Now there's even this anime that you actually convinced me to watch because you just had to mention it, and I began watching it, and it's okay. Let's talk about Yuri then.
Yes.
I am not an expert in Yuri literature. I know it's come from literature, but basically Yuri, it's Japanese for lily, which is a very subtle metaphor for vagina. because it's a lily. But anyway, so what defines a Yuri narrative? It's basically a lesbian romance between two girls in love. There is a lot of emotion and possible sex, but mostly very, very emotional, and it's lesbians. So it has a large male audience, of course. And you can tell the show we are going to discuss tonight, which is titled Sakura Trick, is a show made with a male audience in mind.
Oh yeah, that's definitely the case.
It's a cute and funny show for the most part, and with this occasional very disturbing quick shots of close-ups of certain body parts of female anatomy, that also made me wonder if the studio who was directing this wasn't Studio Shaft, because they used to do horrible, despicable things from a thematic standpoint, but they usually want these things to look pretty and artsy like. So what's this anime all about? Devar, if you would enlighten us, please.
Of course. This anime takes place in the start of the high school year for two characters called Haruka and Yu, where they find out that the high school they're in will be closing down in the next couple of years, I believe.
By the way, that's an overarching theme that obviously refers to maturity, growing up, and the fact that being young and youthful is something that you can only experience once in a lifetime, adolescence, and blah 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 blah. It's a rather obvious metaphor for the youthful years that will end at some point and will never come back, which is the same identical metaphor that virtually all high school-related scenarios in anime history has always been representative of, at least from a subtext standpoint.
Well,
okay, sorry I interrupted. Please go on.
Yes, and so to make a long story short without boring any of you, basically because of this whole school is going to be shut down in the next couple of years, and the fact that Yu is one of the girls of the main characters is making friends with Haruka feels distant. So what way to basically show that you're best friends forever for life and that you can do something together that no one else will do, that you will not do anything else with.
And so they make out.
Logical, right?
Yeah, and by the way, they make out. It wasn't just a normal kiss done in private. No, it had to be the most spectacularly epic thing in the world, because they kissed passionately inside a classroom that was being invaded by the petals of a local sakura tree that was blooming right at the same moment. It's a metaphor. It's a metaphor for the blooming of their love and relationship, and they're growing up like the tree. It's blooming the petals and whatnot, and it's a kiss for the petals. minus the sex part, basically.
Yes.
It's that. It's the same story that's been told in this particular genre many times. The only thing that makes this anime unique in its own right is that Yuri done properly, as in being openly lesbian, not just, subliminal about it, is something that doesn't happen all that often in mainstream media.
Yeah, like...
So that would be the only refreshing thing about this whole thing, because it's really not all that creative anime. It's cute and fun, but cute and fun can only lead you for so long.
Well, yeah, it can. That's true in that sense, I was gonna say.
So, on that regard, tell us, Devar, what's the typical formula for each and every episode of this show, so far at least?
Oh, where to begin? Let's see. Kissing. Maybe some form of drama involving someone or sisters, and maybe a punchline with a joke, and maybe some shots of breasts that bounce, which, by the way, didn't really concentrate all that much into the manga version for some strange reason, so that was like
I wonder why. Maybe the manga was actually written by a woman? Maybe. I'm just speculating here because I don't really know.
To be honest, I should have researched this before, but I didn't, sadly. So, all I know is that this was written.
Devar, you can research right now. Go search for it while I speak my piece briefly.
Yes, which you.
Okay, so basically, the formula is like this: they encounter a slight problem, and they kiss. They encounter another slight problem, and they kiss. They go out with friends, they kiss when nobody's watching. Big Sister, use Big Sister, whom has actually a not-so-secret crush on Atsuki herself, but at the same time she's struggling with her own denial, gets in the way, and the two main characters still manage to kiss somehow when nobody's watching. And this happens every single episode. Basically, if you had to learn something from this digest, it is that there is no problem in life that cannot be solved simply by kissing your girlfriend. It's it's a bit ridiculous, to say the least. It's more than a little bit silly. And sometimes those kisses will get a bit, shall we say, creepy.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell those moments were made specifically to please the very obviously male audience that's watching this show. And another thing we also learned from this show is that everyone in the world is lesbian, apparently. So they had this group of friends, half of them are lesbians. There is this couple, which are long distantly related. I cannot remember the name. One was the tall one with the white hair, and the other is the shy one with ponytails. Do you remember their names, Devar?
I believe one of them was called Shizuka. I think,
Yeah.
but I forgot the other one, the blonde-haired girl. I know who you're talking about, though.
Okay, these two have something going on between each other for quite some time. Perhaps even before the two main characters had even discovered those feelings for one another. And their main story is actually kept mostly in the background, which is sad because I think their story is actually far more interesting than the one of the two main characters. Because these two have never encountered any major conflict that would put a strain in the relationship. So far, it's always like something, oh, you don't love me enough. Yes, I do, and then kiss. And that's pretty much the end of it.
Yes, pretty much. And by the way, her name's Kotanoe.
The author of the manga?
No, the girl you're talking about. But the author of the manga, it was written by a person called Taichi, I cannot find information on this person at all.
Taichi is a male's name.
Yes, I would guess it's a male's name, but I cannot,
Great.
for the life of me, see what other work he's done. So, whatever other work he's done, I would have no clue.
Whatever.
But that's not important.
So anyway, these two other girls that have also a thing going on between each other might have a more interesting story because it actually spanned for more years. It had more time to develop, and also there are family-related problems that might keep them apart, and it makes for more compelling drama. And it's kept completely in the background while we focus on these other two nitwits who do nothing all day, but have a really small insignificant argument, then kiss and make up, literally. And do we even need to start talking about Yu's older sister? And my gosh, she's a walking state of constant neurosis. She has a lesbian crush on Atsuki, but she doesn't want to admit it herself. She's in complete denial, and at the same time, she's also worried that she's also being kind of a bigot on the very possibility that her sister might have more than just friendship with Atsuki. And she's also jealous for all the attention. And she's a walking wrecking ball of emotional disturbances. And and also there are two other friends which may be lesbians, but so far
not important right now.
So far, their relationship is ambiguous enough that you could just write them off as just being friends, which for this show would be quite a refreshing change of pace.
Fun enough it would be, actually, considering that most animes of this type likes to make every woman into a lesbian of some description.
Like I said, it's Kiss for the Petals, non-pornographic edition.
Yeah.
In fact, this looks exactly like the kind of narrative you expect from one of those games. In fact, I'm surprised this is an actual adaptation of a game from that series. Kiss for the Petals, that is. We should do a let's play of Kiss for the Petals one of these days, Devar.
I would not know what that is.
The first game is rather easy to get.
We'll have to see about that someday. But
so anyway,
I would like to bring up the Sakura Trick, in my opinion, is basically one of those animes that you just have to enjoy for what it is, because it's just a sweet, cute little comedy sort of thing. Because
it lacks variety, and it also lacks a bit of substance. Because, like I said, all conflicts seems to be automatically resolved by the two of them kissing, and that'll be the end of it. And after like 5 episodes like that, now 7, 8 episodes all like that, it becomes a bit
tiresome.
Repetitive.
Yeah, tiresome and repetitive. I was going to say that sadly, because of it's basically trying to keep the sweetness and cuteness and the comedy, sort of thing. It lacks, much in drama and all that jazz. But it also falls into the typical trap that most same-sex animes tend to fall in, both the Yuri and Yaois. Yes, I watch both, just because I love romances.
Yes, we know that.
Well, no, you only know that. I think, because, let's put it this way. Yuri has a thing about being over-romanticized, in Japan especially.
No, I could have never tell.
Yes, because the whole... Well, I know you're being sarcastic, but I'm just telling the folks.
There is nothing inherently wrong with over-romanticism, over-romanticizing a story. Even the really diabetes-inducing lines, some of those lines are really cringe-worthy, but there is nothing inherently wrong with it. The problem is when your story kind of lacks
originality.
a tangible conflict that will make this romance, yes, tropey, yes, predictable, but at the very least compelling and interesting to watch at some level or the other. Because so far, the biggest conflict those two had faced was one of them being too clingy and the other one being too inside their closet, so to speak. And yeah, that's good for the first times. But when you're actually going to build an entire show out of the premise of having your main characters lesbians, you better have something to do with them that doesn't include just kissing and make up in every single episode without any possible without any change. Okay, I'm disheartened by this because, for once there is a story that, yes, of a Yuri story that doesn't go into the classic tropes of, the parents are going to find out and they're going to be obstacles to the relationship because society, this, blah, 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 blah. But for once, I find myself actually wanting to see these things so that the story has a bit of variety. And it also makes me piss off. It pisses me off because this is the kind of story that that other couple that's kept in the background seems to be having right now.
And yet we're not getting one single line of this.
Jeez.
It would be nice to see, more than just the two main ones. Like some animes of the yaoi and yuri variety like to show three couples at most going through different situations. Sadly, Haruka and Yu
I'll take your word for it.
Haruka and Yu so far have probably the most boring of the three of what any couple could get, and that is the first love, which is.
Actually, I have to give. Now, let's talk about things that actually work in this anime, because it's not all bad.
No, it's not.
It's fairly enjoyable. It's just not all that memorable, is all. First of all, I like the idea that unlike every single young romantic love story ever made in the history of the universe, the two main characters actually knew each other before the anime began. That's something, at least. Okay, they had time to develop the relationship as friends, and now that they're in high school, they happen to discover they had something more than friendship. But at the very least, they already knew each other since the very beginning. It's not like the fated encounter of fate and love at first sight and all that idioticness.
Or how about that typical trope of nice young girl meets an older woman that looks kinda mannish.
Also, another thing, the personalities of the two main characters. At first, they seemed rather interchangeable and not all that different from one another, which makes for a more realistic character, but also less interesting and less well defined. And let's face it, an anime that looks like this, with all the moe looks and the over romanticizing all that, the last thing it should be care about is being realistic. But anyway, after a while, their personalities, shall we say, they have enough quirks to make them distinguishable individuals that actually have some sort of chemistry. So, Atsuka is usually the more mature of the two, except for her incredible jealousy for her partner, and the fact that she's she's actually the more clingy of the two. Conversely, the other one is the childish that gets spoiled in every way possible by her partner, and she's also bad with homeworks. And in between the two of them, she's the one who wants to keep her relationship a secret the most. While the other one actually tries to be open about it, she even makes her wear a swimming uniform with the
love hearts and the brolly with their names underneath it.
Written on the chest. Yeah, so that's something. While the other couple, instead, the one that's kept criminal in the background, the two of them are actually more well defined and more different in personality. Were immediately distinguishable and unique and typical archetypes. Is what I'm saying.
Mm.
One of them is shy. The other one is forward, but not in a slutty way.
Yeah, it's just a more straightforward and, knows what she wants.
Yes, individual, that kind. So, do you have anything to add at this point of our?
Trying to think really, because I'm trying to think if I actually had said anything that you haven't said yet.
I think there isn't a lot to say about this show, actually.
Is because we've been reading lots of lesbian ponies?
No, because there really isn't much to it to begin with.
Well, yeah, but would you say it's a lot more than what you would get from, say, an anime or manga series that claims it has Yuri in it, but they only do it as a sort of, oh, will they, won't they sort of thing?
Yeah, I dislike when they actually aren't open about it, and only because it's been done a million times. It's not subtlety. It's just plain old teasing. And it's very annoying. At the very least, this show is open about its nature from the very start. From the very opening title sequence, in fact, which is kind of catchy, I'll admit that.
Yes, it is very catchy. I love that opening theme, actually. And the ending theme's quite nice as well.
Yeah, it's quite nice, alright. It's decent. It's a fun and loving piece of Yuri animation that unfortunately it's meant for a male audience, with all that entails. But it could be far worse than this. It could be also be far more boring than this. At least it has a sense of humor and basic pacing. And the two main characters are rather sweet girls. Once you get to know them better and find out their personalities aren't all that interchangeable and undefined.
To be honest, I'm just glad they didn't go for the typical trope that seems to also another trope that seems to bog down the sort of same-sex romances, is that you have an overcomplicated plot for no reason other than just to be, oh, look at how fantastical and lovely this story is, but we're not going to concentrate much on that, and we're actually going to probably discuss you like in this one anime where the villain licks blood off of a young man's finger.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
You know what's my favorite Yuri anime?
Do tell.
Hanazuki no Miko.
Ah, yeah, that one.
It's a Yuri love. Hear me out. It's a Yuri love tragedy with giant robots. So yes, it's kind of entertaining. That's for sure. Okay, I think we said everything that needed to be said about Sakura Trick.
Yeah.
You know who you are. If you enjoy this thing, you will enjoy this. If you don't, then you won't. Simple as that. Sakura Trick, everybody. I don't think there is a point in actually returning to the show once its runtime is actually over. We will, however, return to Kill la Kill sometimes in the future because there's still a lot to discuss about that one.
Oh yes.
Oh boy.
Oh my. And I say oh my just because, Kill la Kill is probably even more raunchy than Sakura Trick could ever hope to be.
Yeah, let us not go there right now. This is not the place, nor the time. Okay, so this has been Madhog, thy master of Yuri.
And I have been Devar, the minimalist talker in this one.
And you've been listening to us discuss about random things about a show that we secretly enjoy more than we let you know about.
Yeah.
Because we're both male and heterosexual, so give us a break.
Take care.
Hello, bye.